have Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and everybody's got a prize for lazy booking. Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to the Lazy Booking. No, it's true. It's damn true. Ho! Hey, folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and if you want to know what's going on in wrestling, check out Lazy Bookings. Ho!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of Lazy Booking, fun-sized edition, right here on A2DRadio.com. Brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accounts located at 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA. Give them a call, 215-369-3300. Tax season is almost over, so be ready, be prepared, and call Gibson Mayer.
What's up, fam? Thursday night's Lazy Booking, little delayed start. Fun-sized version, as Maddie says, of Lazy Booking, but we are looking forward to talking. We got poor Greg Milakovic over here, making him stand and wait.
Came in at the perfect time.
Perfect timing. Chrome, Maddie Sensui, Sensui. It's like the game you used to play when you were a kid, throwing the tennis ball against the wall. Maddie Sensui, and, of course, Ryan Brotto over on the ones and twos. Greg, you could do your pass by now. Go ahead, pal.
That was
run in. Give you permission.
Yeah. That was always that
permission
fun.
to do your run in.
That was always a fun game, Suey, especially when you would have them then peg the ball at you if you weren't in time. And you always threw.
I remember being
really
a kid
hard.
and like being for some reason you're like scared to get hit by a tennis ball. Like it was like you're getting like shot in the back.
What?
No.
You never played.
Like
you never played that
I played
version
with
of Suey?
No, I have.
When I
but
played
don't
Little
remember
League,
fear being
when I
involved.
played in Little League, I played with some big kids.
Well,
Like, I
Little
was like
League's different,
I was like
yeah.
in the minors and they were in the major leagues and they were throwing some heaters at your back.
By the way, I just thought of a new nickname for Greg, at least on the wrestling show. He should be called the Drifter.
The
He
Drifter.
always drifts through.
he does
Greg
every.
is the Drifter now.
Greg is the Drifter. Walk with Milakovic.
It almost works.
It almost works.
almost works.
But yeah, what's up, fam? Listen, our Scanzano Sports poll question this week, pretty cut and dry. Is this the worst? Well, this is the worst build-up to a WrestleMania in the last 10 years. Agree or disagree?
Christ. I mean, at least the really crappy one in Georgia, at least that had some structure to it for crying out
And we'll touch
loud.
on some that might be competitors to this. But listen, if you're joining us on Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, we appreciate you, fam. We apologize for the delayed start, but we're going to get in as much as we can possibly over the next hour before we take you into Hockey Happy Hour, which will come at you at 10 p.m. tonight. Lots to talk about. We got playoff push coming now. Not for the Flyers, but we got the playoff push coming for a lot of teams. And listen, they're the best in the business.
Way to not pour the salt in the wound.
Hey, it hurts me too, buddy.
I know.
Tom Arnone says, what's up, boys? What up, Tom? What's going on? So listen, WrestleMania this year, fellas. How are we feeling about the build-up? Because I think we're all going to be on the same page here.
I feel like this is just – it's so sad because it's like your childhood has just been destroyed because it's just like – it feels like it's just another fucking pay-per-view. Like it's just an extended version of one of those other pay-per-views. You're like, oh, my God, it's like a 5-hour fast lane. What the fuck?
Alexis Hernandez says, talk about the Jordan Howard trade. This is a wrestling show, so unfortunately we were not going to get into it. But what I will say – great trade for the Eagles.
Thank you, Howie.
Gave up absolutely nothing to get him. A 2020 6th-round pick, conditional, could turn into a 5th. Huge move for the Eagles. And listen, tune into A2D. Over the next week, there's going to be a lot of talk about it.
And as usual, par for the course, some big news from one of the major sports teams drops on Thursday when we don't talk about it.
I know. It happens every
week.
I feel like it happens almost every Thursday.
Every Tuesday or Wednesday,
oh
please.
My
Almost
God.
every Thursday we're in wrestling. We're doing our wrestling show. We're doing Hockey Happy Hour. And something not related to either of those on kind of the bastard child night.
Yeah.
Something seems to always drop.
Delinquent night.
Yeah. What do we say? This is like the
Niche night.
This is the
Niche
niche
night.
night.
Oh,
Yeah.
Niche, whatever.
Yeah.
It could be pronounced
Semantics.
either way. One's more
Semantics.
French than the other.
Yes,
Yes.
we all French over here, Ryan. So. But no, man, listen, I mean, a huge deal for the Eagles, and there's going to be a lot of talk over A2D, over all the shows this week. So make sure that you guys tune in for that. Back to wrestling, though. Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you. It doesn't feel like a regular pay-per-view build-up. It's worse. It's not good. It's WrestleMania. And a couple points. So we'll kind of condense a lot of things because we did have some stuff on tap. We were going to talk WrestleMania. We were going to talk about the state of the women's division, which I would like to get into still. If not tonight, like dig deep into it. That might be a good post-WrestleMania after when we start to see the fallout. But, you know, I'm looking at things. I mean, first of all, this whole women's buildup. Ryan, Maddie, what was the thing that I talked about that I thought would be a great way to get – in the end, we got to where I thought we were going to get to, but in a very ass-backwards way, in a way that, in my opinion, absolutely sacrificed the rest of your women's division in order to get to this place. I thought, okay, here's the easy way to get to it, okay? Because here's how we got here. Let's play history check, okay?
We'll hit the rewind
WrestleMania
button here.
rewind.
Yeah.
WrestleMania rewind. Okay, so we have Becky Lynch tap out to Asuka
Yes.
at Royal Rumble.
Uh-huh.
Take Lana's spot at 27
Yes.
to take that. Then we had the most unbelievable chop block in the history of professional wrestling.
The ultimate chop block.
The ultimate chop block that was dragged out to leg injuries to the woman who did however she did. She earned her shot. Someone was handed the same title shot in a replacement. Then she was given an opportunity to earn her shot back after she apologized. But the other person who was handed the shot wouldn't lose it if they lost. We get back to here. Now we have new women's champion on the SmackDown side. After Asuka taps out Becky, she loses to Mandy Rose that following Tuesday on SmackDown. You don't hear from her. Or I'm sorry, it wasn't that following Tuesday. It was a few weeks later.
I think a week after.
But it was about 2 or 3 because you didn't hear anything about her other than one vignette that dropped.
And I think she had one backstage segment, too.
She's done nothing since then. I mean, it's been an absolute joke. And now we get to where we are today. Unannounced women's title match. Charlotte wins. You completely shit on Asuka yet again.
And here's the weird part of it. If anything, the sacrificing of women's talent, it's really only one sacrifice. And that one tragic sacrifice is Asuka.
It's always Asuka.
You know?
But I think the rest of the division is suffering as well.
Oh, they are. They are. There's no doubt about it. Absolutely. They're kind of swimming in the mediocrity right now.
But that's the thing. There was no need to go this route. And when we go back, the booking I had said before Rumble, I said, listen, let's have Becky win or Charlotte. Have one of them win the – actually, I said have Becky retain in a tight match. Have Charlotte – or I guess Asuka was the champion at Rumble, right?
Asuka was champion.
I said have her beat Asuka in a really tough match to make Asuka still look good, but Becky comes out the winner. Have Charlotte challenge both of them. And the rumor is it's going to be a winner-take-all. The winner of this match is going to win both titles. So why don't we have Charlotte come out and say she had beef with both of them to begin with? Have her challenge both and say, I want to go against both of you. Boom, right away, that's a WrestleMania-worthy main event match. But
then the weird part of the whole thing is it's like, we know the brand split's coming to a close, but when does the Fox deal officially kick in?
October, I think. Is it October or November? I think it's the end of October.
I was going to say late October, yeah.
So, but that's what confuses me because I'm like, okay, listen, I know the brand split's coming to a close here, but you sacrifice Asuka's title run, and now she's not going to be at WrestleMania, or she'll be thrown into the Women's Battle Royal, which is basically the participation trophy. It is.
It is.
And you have them unify the belts. Well, they're not saying it's a unification match, but winner take all kind of has that feel to it. So you unify the belts months in advance than when you had to. It's like you could have waited until like SummerSlam. Maybe even bump it up for Survivor Series if you wanted to do it, to make Survivor Series have a little bit more juice to it.
I think SummerSlam would have probably been a really good time to do it because it would have been before the debut.
But they chose to do it now, and they fucked Asuka while doing it. So now it's like,
well, and the other thing, and we talked about this pre-show, but I mean, we've been doing lazy booking here for about 14, 15 months. Or around that.
Something around there, I think.
About 16 months.
And we've known that this match between these three women were going to happen for probably the last 10 months. I mean, we've been talking about it for a while, way before it was even hinted on television because it just looked like that. We knew those three big stars. We knew the way the company was going.
Yeah.
And we were all excited about it 10 months ago with no build. We didn't know what the storylines were going to be. If anything, we really didn't know Becky Lynch was going to be this big of a star because it was at the very, very beginning of it.
I think we kind of could see the writing on the wall at, I would say, SummerSlam. Because when her and Charlotte had their match at SummerSlam, and I told you guys that Becky was going to turn then and it was going to turn the whole character. So I'm going to pat myself. I'm giving myself a Barry Horowitz.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, no, I mean, I think that's where we all sat and had a conversation and said, this is going to lead to something big at WrestleMania amongst 2 or 3 of these women. We knew it was going to happen.
And like I said, while all of that was happening, the excitement way in advance was at an all-time high. And now that they've gone through all of this build-up, all of these nonsensical storylines, if anything, I'm just speaking for me, I'm not speaking for you guys, but it's made me care a little bit less.
Well, here's the other part, too. It's not only that, but you just see what they do, and it's like you clearly tell they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like
they're booking on the fly.
Yeah, it really gets to that point where it's like if you're to the untrained eye, you're thinking, oh wow, they're really just trying to throw everything they got into this. But to the trained eye, you're looking at it, it's like they have no idea what they're doing. And they are just throwing stuff to the wall and see if it sticks.
And we've talked about this.
Well, the whole card's not even booked yet.
Exactly.
Which is even crazier when you think about it. Usually by now you have at least a solidified card. I mean, Christ.
And we've talked about this before that, on the bigger stages, obviously WrestleMania, some of the other big pay-per-views, you have to go a little bit extra because, of course, Vince wants, extra pay-per-view buys, network buys, all that stuff. So I understand you're putting a little bit extra into these things. But these are one of the few storylines or feuds, not only this year, but over the last handful of years, that really didn't need any extra spice to it. Mm-hmm. You could just throw these 3 women into a ring, give them 30 to 35 minutes, and then that's the story.
And then here's the other thing, too. Not only that, adding on to being Asuka getting screwed out of a possible WrestleMania match for the title, you then also hurt the chance, not destroy it, but you could have had, I know you would have had 2 multi-women matches, but still, at the end of the day, with this booking, I think you could let it go. You could have that whole Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville rivalry, but they're going to save it for a Battle Royal, which, again, is just the participation trophy. Your real big payoff for that's going to come a little bit later on down the line. It's like...
Well, here's the thing, though, Matty. I mean, you're right, but we talked about when Mike was here, Mike Mataraki, when here, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. We talked about, I think somebody brought it up in the comments about involving the women's battle royal that really doesn't mean anything. And we said, okay, here's something they can do in 2 seconds. Make that on the pre-show. The winner of that faces Asuka. Therefore, they don't have to supply any build, any extra TV time. It's simple. You add a little extra layer to that battle royal, put it on the pre-show, and then have a really solid match. You can have it with Kairi Sane from NXT. You can have it with Mandy Rose, with Lacey Evans, with anybody, and it would make sense without having to do a 3 to 5 week build because, as we knew this entire time, they had no idea what they were doing with Asuka.
Clearly, they had no intention of doing anything with Asuka from the way that they just decided, hey, you know what, we're just going to have Charlotte beat you. I'm like, so this whole time you spent giving the belt to Asuka in December, she was just going to be a transitional champion right from the start. Is that what you're telling me?
And my gripe here is, and I think we can all agree with, for years we would hear that Vince, I mean, we heard this in the infamous CM Punk podcast, right after he left, that the only guy Vince McMahon books long-term for is Cena. That was the rumor way back when. But we've seen over time that he doesn't just book for one person. They kind of have like a bubble of people. They always need to know who's in a long-term, feud. Right now, if we could guess, it's probably Roman. Way in advance what he's doing. Charlotte, obviously Becky. There's a group, and in my opinion, Asuka should be in there.
Agreed.
And for some reason, she's so far away. Forget about her being in the bubble. She's so far out of it.
I think, again, it's the same problem that they've always had. In a lot of ways, WWE, their product, they treat it differently from anything outside of WWE. Mm-hmm. They don't treat it like a wrestling product. It's sports entertainment, which when you realize that, you realize that explains why they make these decisions half the time. And they look at Asuka as that's a wrestler. Mm-hmm. Not a sports entertainer. So they treat her differently than they treat a Becky or a Charlotte. And the sad part of it is like, I'm pretty sure if you give Asuka half a shot, things could work out for you and you can make some big money. But you know what? I'm not them. I'm not one of those comedy writers that sits there and tries to reinvent the fucking wheel of pro wrestling to come up with something great for WrestleMania. So,
Couple comments over here with the fam on the Facebook, and then I'll jump over to the YouTube as well.
Yeah, YouTube's flying.
Nate Longstreet, he says, a week from now, I'll be there. Crappy build-up or not, I'm excited. Nate's actually going to WrestleMania with me. He's my buddy. He lives in Orlando.
Enjoy.
He was from up here. He lives in Orlando now.
hey, I wish the build-up was better for you.
He says, Frank Vespi says, hey, yo, sorry to bother you at work. If this year's WrestleMania ends up being worse than WrestleMania 9 or 11, well, it's Fallout signal the beginning of what could be a possible new era in WWE. First of all, I think I like WrestleMania 9. I don't know why I do, but I really enjoy WrestleMania 9.
It's your
I don't
guilty
think it's the
pleasure.
worst. I feel like WrestleMania 8 is in that argument for the worst, but it has some of the best commentary ever. Same thing with WrestleMania 9. I kind of like the staging of it, but the commentary in that is classic, which saves a lot of the show.
Well, I mean,
27 is the worst WrestleMania of all time. By the way.
27's a terrible.
That was Miz and John
yeah,
Cena.
Yeah, that was the
the
one the
beginning
Rock
of the
That was an
hosted.
absolutely
Yeah,
terrible
yeah.
WrestleMania. So I'm gonna say, here's what I'm gonna say. Disagree to this because I think WrestleMania 27 was the worst
I'm gonna pull up
build-up.
the card for that.
Oh yeah, pull up the card and run it down.
I don't know. I'm going to say 11, but that's just my personal opinion. To be fair, though, Bam Bam and Lawrence Taylor had a great main event.
Totally
but
exceeded, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think it really makes
You
up
had
for
Shawn Michaels
just,
and Diesel.
But it doesn't make up for just that poor event. But also, that was a really down year
Yeah.
for business. Vince was almost out
And
by
I saw
that time. So
somewhere somebody mentioned WrestleMania 31, and I'm sure I'll get to that in a minute. But WrestleMania 31 was a really good, possibly great top 5 Mania of all time. The build-up to WrestleMania 31 was atrocious.
Wasn't that the Seth Rollins one?
That it was.
Yeah.
So it was one of the best endings of WrestleMania in years.
One of the absolute greatest endings. Had one of probably the greatest. I don't care if people talk about the Evan Bourne one. The greatest RKO was when Seth got launched up into the air trying to do the curb stomp. And, oh, man, I was in the crowd for that. That was crazy.
and then, of course, they had Sting's only WWE WrestleMania match. You know, so
So do you guys want me to run through 27's card real quick?
Hold it for one
Okay.
sec. Let me try to plow through some of these here.
Yeah.
John C. Danzo says, what up, brothers? Don't know what's worse, the build or Mania, build to Mania, or the Hall of Fame class, or is it just me? I don't think the class is that
the
bad.
class is that bad.
No,
No.
And we wanted to talk about that. We'll save it next week, by the way, guys. If you're
Big show.
Big show next week. We're doing a 7 o'clock start time. We will be on the air on time to get us the extra half hour. It's our WrestleMania roundtable. What's exciting about it, too,
Yeah.
A2D's other wrestling show, the B Show, in this very ring,
Shots fired.
drops on Mondays. And we have Ritz from Jackson Ritz in this very ring. He is coming from Texas for Mania. He's going to join us for the roundtable next week. He's also going to join us for the follow-up show as well before he goes back to Houston.
So what you're saying is, if we're looking at this from a WWE context, if they're Monday Night Raw, then we're Thursday Night SmackDown when SmackDown was better than
Possibly.
Monday Night Raw.
I mean, I'm looking at it more like we're Raw or SmackDown and their Impact. But, whatever.
Oh my God, that's actually a little worse.
Nah, I love my guys. You guys know I love my guys.
Yeah, I know.
TJ Simons. They're talking some Eagles stuff in here. Alexa says Alexis Hernandez. New name I haven't seen, or it might be Alexi. I apologize if I said it wrong. Says I think Gronkowski will stay retired and will get paid in WWE. I agree. He says
be
they
back
say
week 12.
Royal Rumble is way better. I think the Royal Rumble is the best WWE pay-per-view. I can binge watch the Royal Rumbles all day. I've done that. It's awesome to do.
It's my favorite
Rumbles are
pay-per-view of the year.
so much fun.
Since I was a kid, it
yeah.
was like the All-Star game. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, I mean, how many pay-per-views are you going to get a chance to see Hacksaw Jim Duggan when he's 80? You know what I mean?
True, yeah. I mean, I could say this right now. If I go my whole life not going to WrestleMania, it sucks, but at least I got to see a Rumble.
And that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Tom Ramos says Charlotte win the SmackDown Women's title was literally the worst move they could have ever done. I hate how much they push Charlotte. Women's evolution, my ass, more like Charlotte's overtaking. I half agree with you. I absolutely think that Charlotte deserves it, though. Charlotte is head and shoulders, not above all of them, but she is that top echelon it's her and Becky. Ronda's slightly under, but because of the name brand and the attention she commands, Ronda's with them. And Asuka!
She
But
should
they don't
be up there.
fucking book her that way.
No, they don't. And that's the sad part of it. But here's the one thing, and I think what hurts the women's division, since that was a question about it, might as well talk about it. what kills them is they do the same thing with the men. They have their certain people that they'll back, like obviously the Roman Reigns, the Seth Rollins. They will pluck them and say, you guys are our main event talent, but a Finn Balor, you're mid-card. You're staying mid-card. Like, but you can do main event. We'll put you in and out, designated like a Chris Jericho. It's like he could do more than that, but it's the same thing with the women.
It's similar, but it's different because there's not as expansive of a roster.
True, yes.
And they've literally just pulled off of both shows the 3 best women in their eyes and completely downgraded everybody else.
Oh, absolutely,
like,
yeah.
Coming out of this, it's going to be really tough, which is why I think it's in hindsight, I'm kind of glad that we couldn't really dig into it because it's going to be really nice to see how the fallout happens after and then go from there.
Yeah.
Once Ronda steps away as well.
I just had a realization about something. And I understand a lot of the comments, a lot of hate towards Charlotte right now. Not only in our chat, but just period. I think she's the new Roman Reigns.
Maybe.
Because, look at the characteristics. We all understand, even through hatred, that both Charlotte and Roman are really good at what they do. They don't have a major flaw, if any, but they fit the bill of the company pushing them no matter what and getting in the way of what the fans believe is the right thing to do.
See, I kind of think of it differently. I think it's cheesy because they're doing the same booking, but I think they are effectively booking her the same as Rock as the corporate chosen person back when it was Austin and Rock.
Yeah.
They want her to fit that mold. She's amazing as a heel, whether you love her or hate her. She is amazing as a heel. She's been absolutely fantastic. And I think that they are maybe not as perfectly booked because clearly this has been really all over the place. But in terms of sliding her into a certain role they want her to be, they're going to do it. Becky and Charlotte are going to be the Rock Austin that they're going to look for in the women's division. And I think it's working.
You get that side of it. You definitely do. You just wish that, they did it better. That's the sad part of it.
And I think unlike Roman, more people do like Charlotte. I think more people do respect Charlotte. Now, do they feel like she's handed a lot? Probably, but she's earned that shit.
Yeah,
like
so.
She's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, let's give her the I don't think she needs to be in this main event. But when I look at it in hindsight, if this was gonna be the first women's main event, over the last 5 years total, who on the roster from NXT to now deserves to have a feature, even if she's the one to take the pin? It's Charlotte.
She's the most consistent primetime player of the women's division.
Absolutely.
Well, and I believe, to be honest with you, while we all have frustrations about this match, and while a few weeks ago to a month ago we all agreed that would the match probably be better and the build-up be better if it's just Becky and Ronda at this time? Yeah.
Well,
I was just going to say it does make sense, though, that Charlotte is involved, to your point, Chrome, and as well, while we knew this was coming 9-10 months ago, I don't believe WWE had any intention that Becky Lynch was going to be involved. I think their plan a year ago was Charlotte and Ronda.
Oh, for sure.
And then the wave of Becky Lynch came flying in.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, and to your point, though, with just Ronda and Becky, it could have worked. The problem was that they decided to keep Ronda as a babyface and tried really hard to see if maybe she'll still have support. Problem is, they seem to forget, Ronda isn't as over as Becky, and she's not going to be as over as Becky. You have to get comfortable with that idea. I know she's a name brand. She's a big celebrity, and she should deservingly be cheered because in a year, she went from being a rookie and a novice to being one of the better wrestlers that you have. But they could have done what they're doing now, where she could have shat on wrestling because she's from the MMA world where it was real, quote unquote. Because what she's doing now is actually, it's brilliant what she does because she gets to shit on the business, but she does it in a working way. It's sometimes half shoot because it's, digging at the fans for booing her. It's like if they had done that from the beginning because she was definitely getting booed, it's like if you had built this up a few months before and not rushed it towards the last minute, you didn't have to put Charlotte in there at all. You could have just had Becky take her down and be like, yes, fuck MMA. You know, that's what the vibe would have been at that moment, you know?
Yeah. Well, I see it a little differently. I think they put Charlotte in because the intention was to have Ronda continue to be a face, but you can't carry a face promo.
Yep.
So, A, you put Charlotte in because I do think they're going to probably protect Ronda and not have her take the loss, even though it would be huge for Becky or even Charlotte, if it's Charlotte, to finally be the person to get a decisive win over Ronda. But I digress. I think the whole, you know what, we did this. We put her in to be the heel, which, by the way, Charlotte was doing great when they did put her in as far as the mic goes.
Of course.
But they're like, people are still shitting on it. If we're going to do this, we don't want a Brock Lesnar, Bill Goldberg happen. Let's just go full-blown with Ronda. Exactly everything that everybody thought that how she feels about the industry. Let's just, Ronda, amp it up and just go with it.
I just got a feeling about something, by the way.
Oh, my Lord.
All right, so we know, at least reportedly, that Ronda's going to be taking a bit of a break after this, correct?
Yeah, yep.
And we really don't know when. We know she is coming back at some point, right?
As far as they know now, yeah.
Yes, but we don't know if
Unless
when.
she gets JoJo'd.
Still MIA.
Congratulations, by the way.
She's not MIA. They
No,
put
they
out the
announced it,
picture
Yeah, they announced it today.
on social media.
Today, right?
There's a
Oh,
picture.
okay.
I think it was yesterday. It
Oh,
might be
yesterday.
today. Picture of her big old pregnant belly with braised, tatted up hands on her stomach. So that's confirmed.
Yes. We got it right again.
What's that fucking kid gonna look like when it comes out?
Watch him be like a Jason Jordan clone.
Oh God,
Anyway,
with the beard.
I don't even know where I was going.
I don't know either.
Maybe the tats too. Who knows?
You have a feeling?
So, at WrestleMania, I believe at some point, maybe after it's done, after the match is done, I think Ronda's gang, the 4 horsewomen, I think they're going to show up and try and interfere. Or maybe they will, because it's no DQ.
I mean, it's not an impossibility.
I mean,
And that could be like their because
Sure.
if we don't know, say for example, the earliest Ronda's going to be back is around SummerSlam. Okay, we've talked about it before that they might have kind of missed the boat on where to put this whole 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen thing in there. 'Cause over the next year, it's going to be okay when Ronda comes back. She's probably just going after Becky, and if Charlotte's going to be the ultimate heel, she's going to go somewhere else. So maybe this is not the only time we see it, but this is the moment here where we see the interaction. And then maybe we have like a run-in with like Sasha and Bailey or something. And then worst comes to worst, if they never formally get to a match, years from now WWE can be like, oh well, there it was, 4 horsewomen versus 4. It would suck, but would you be surprised?
Yeah, because I was gonna say like that kind of sucks because it's like you want Becky winning the match to be like she won it clean. She didn't have to have help from Bailey or Sasha.
No, it wouldn't be necessarily help, but it would be about the 4 horsewomen for Ronda kind of trying to take over, and then Sasha and Bailey helping out their 2 friends. You know what I mean?
I got you.
Like I said, I don't want it to happen, but I could see it.
See, because the thing is, even if Charlotte does that whole, she's the ultimate heel thing, I mean, you could do what the Shield always did if one of them was heel and they reunited. They were just like, oh, one of them got convinced to join them temporarily, and then it just evolved into the 4 horsemen.
Well, it could become about listen, mutual respect, personal feelings aside for Survivor Series. You could still work.
Well,
that
and
out.
the enemy of my enemy is my best friend.
Yeah,
exactly.
so
Jim Velasco says the build-up for this WrestleMania is terrible, but it'll never be as bad of an event as WrestleMania 13 not including Austin and Bret Hart. That is
pretty bad. Yeah.
really bad. That's
I'll pull up the card.
Yeah, that's a pretty rough.
Oh,
card.
it's bad.
It's a rough. I can
I
tell you
believe
the card now. It's pretty bad. I don't know why. I had a VHS of it. And I used to watch it a lot.
I think that's on the anthology DVDs I always talk about. I think it's there.
Watch it. You won't get through much of it.
I don't even know if I want to.
It's a rough one.
Stuart Hallett, what's up, Stuart? He says hello from Maine. What's up, brother?
What's up?
Tom Ramos says, yeah, I'm fine. I'm a diehard Finn Balor guy, and it kills me every time they crush him. I think you're going to be happy with Balor by the end of Mania, though.
Yeah.
Stewart also says, I think Kofi Kingston is going to win. I don't know yet.
I'll wait until the 3 drops.
I
honestly,
kind of feel like I feel like he should with the way it's booked. Like they backed them into a corner, and I talked about this before. I feel like they would be going like the Booker T type of booking if they don't. But from WrestleMania 19.
Oh, I know, because you know what? Charlotte has the ultimate chop block. Triple H has the ultimate pedigree that beat Booker T at WrestleMania 19.
I said this last week, but I'll say it again. I can assure you this: if Kofi wins, and we don't know the match order yet, because like you said, Chrome, half the card's not even freaking booked yet. It seems like.
Yeah.
But I can assure you that if Kofi wins, Seth Rollins is not winning. I'm so confident in that.
There's a part of me that doesn't think Seth's going to win either because I think they're going to end up going back to Brock and Roman.
Exactly.
For SummerSlam.
And we talked about my theory last week that I don't believe they're going to – we talked about this pre-show that they have to be tactical with which titles change.
Yep.
And when you talk about the three biggest matches involving, the titles, that's the women's title, which we've been talking about, the WWE title and the Universal title, all three of those are not changing in the same show. I don't believe so.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because when you look at it, most of the titles are held by heels at this point. There's very few baby faces. So I could see a number of titles changing. But when I look at it, like you said, like I could logically those three titles changing would make sense for the storyline.
Yes.
But then I look at it, Finn Balor, if we get Demon Balor, like it's been rumored, Finn Balor's beating Bobby Lashley.
And
that's another title change
and
already.
There would have been no reason to put the title back on Lashley if he was, the flip-flop.
Because
There would be no reason
why
for
would
them
you
to
do that? That's no. It's silly that they had to do a take two. But anyway,
Welcome to WWE.
Yeah, but still. Because then when you think about it, it's like, okay, so you have the Raw Tag Team titles, which are rumored to be the ladder match. I guess to a certain point you could make a case where why Ricochet and Aleister Black wouldn't win it. But at the same time, it's like, well, they should kind of win it because then it's kind of pointless for them to be a tag team. Like, in my opinion.
Well, essentially, they're in the DIY spot that was supposed to happen.
Yeah, and that's why I was thinking, like, maybe you put the belts on them anyway, because it's like, yeah, I know it's a makeshift team and you didn't plan this, but put the belts on them. It's not going to kill them at the end of the day.
Maddie, it's not a belt. It's a championship, Maddie.
The strap. We'll go with that one.
That's what Vince always says. Vince always says, it's not a belt. Damn it, it's a championship.
Yeah, sports entertainment, wrestling. They sound so similar. Anyway, but because when you think about it,
Ryan's got a fan in here. He says Ryan's his favorite.
Me?
Oh, well, there you
He
go.
called you the GOAT.
Who called me that?
Hunter Shannon.
Thanks, Hunter.
And he asked if we heard about Eagles getting Jordan Howard. We did. We talked about it at the top of the show.
Nope.
Great move.
I swear I didn't pay him.
Make sure you pay attention to all the A2D shows, man, brother. It's going to get talked about in what?
I didn't hear about it.
No,
I had no idea that happened.
It's going to be talked about in nauseum
because it's not
this week.
It's not hockey.
It doesn't involve
related, so
orange,
it doesn't
Maddie.
exist.
But that's so going. Somebody mentioned Kofi. That's another one. Like the
Here's
genuineness of it is kind of taken. The everybody hates the term organic, but the organicness of everything. Like, okay, we know he took Mustafa Ali's spot. Cool, and it was beautifully done with him through that first gauntlet match. But why do we have to have another gauntlet match? And how absurd is it that when he's finally given the match, it's because the New Day wins another gauntlet match? Like, it's just mind-boggling.
By
to me,
the way,
this booking.
what I
Go ahead.
What I was going to say was the one thing I will say though about all the belts, and here's the thing with being tactical about title changes. This is going to sound weird, but WWE picks a weird moment to do title changes. And here's the thing. Perfect example.
It's been a lot lately.
Think about I'll go back to 2002 Survivor Series.
Let's go back to Tuesday.
Yeah, that too. But here's the funny thing. You have all these belts with established champions, and they changed every single title that night. Whatever reason, they just said, fuck it, we're changing all belts on 2002 at Survivor Series. Even though it's the first ever Elimination Chamber, you don't need to do that gimmick to get the show over. They did it. It's WrestleMania. You don't have to do that to get the show over, but I'm not throwing it out there as it couldn't happen because this is WWE. They'll do anything to get WrestleMania over. And if that means changing belts, they'll change them. They don't give a shit.
I agree with
you
that.
know?
I agree with that. And I don't think they want to have another WrestleMania 20. And I think they have a lot of worries about that at this point, particularly with Ronda and with Brock.
Yeah.
By the way, they're already laying the seeds for something.
What's that?
They're already laying the seeds for the New Day to turn on Kofi. They're already. You guys agree that if/when it happens, because now it's going to happen. Chrome, Maddie, we've been waiting for this. We talked about 10 months ago. We've been talking about this for like 13 months. The whole thing that they're going to be talking about now is, in my opinion, and we'll do a lot of preview next week, obviously, but I think Kofi's going to win. And then I believe when they turn, whenever it is, the New Day, their stance is going to be, we got you into WrestleMania.
Oh, for sure.
And it's all
the
about
most sensible
Kofi.
thing. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Hunter says, dang it, I will definitely tune in. Ryan is just awesome. He's very intelligent, but so are all of you guys. This show has all smart, funny, awesome people on it. Keep up the good work. Everyone will be tuning in a lot more. When does Ryan do his next show?
I swear to God, I didn't tell him to say this.
Ryan is on in front of the camera on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m.
Yeah,
he does
stuck.
The Fix.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of the Jordan Howard talk on there, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And he also joins us. Same thing. He does the production for us on Birds of a Feather, which is Tuesday nights with myself and Chuck.
And I hit buttons
and you
for
do
the
hockey
guys.
happy hour.
Yeah,
I
he
hit buttons
does
for the hockey guys.
He's
I
like,
play Sounders.
I don't talk very much on the hockey show.
No, but you know what though? If you
Listen, we all know our limitations
yeah.
there.
Hey, listen. At the end of the day, though, if you just want to laugh and you want to see the comedy side of our, as we call him, sign guy on Hockey Happy Hour, trust me, you'll get all you want and more. Trust me, my man. But thank you for the compliment, by the way, for all of us. Thank you.
No, we appreciate it, man.
Thanks,
and
Hunter.
we appreciate you coming back. I've seen Hunter pop in and out a few times
Yeah,
here. Love
yeah,
it, brother. But yeah, I don't know. I know I'm with you, Ryan, and one is going to change and one is not. I don't know which one because I feel like every week I'm like, okay, Seth's definitely going to win, and it's they're probably going to carry out Kofi because you know what Vince always says, the chase, the money is in the chase, but then you have to worry about, do they look at it as if holding off too long to pull the trigger with Kofi, but to where it gets very stale quickly. Seth will be there.
But also, that's the thing, too, about Kofi. It's a double-edged sword because you're like, okay, he got his moment, and then a couple months later, people don't care anymore.
Right.
Yeah, that's the other concern.
Possibly. But they also, for once, they have the out with Brock Lesnar.
They do.
Because this is the time where you can keep the title on Brock because the ready-made feud, which nobody wanted to see before, is now Roman. So you can always say, but we're giving you the Roman Championship run now. And we gave you Kofi. And we gave you Becky. And we gave you Finn.
But remember,
How do we not listen to the fans? What are you talking about?
But remember, this is the WWE audience, and the WWE audience can be a little spoiled. I think is maybe a word that maybe not the appropriate word, but a little bratty at times. They want all the title changes, not just 4, not just 5, not just 6. They want all the title changes. Damn it,
Yeah,
all of them.
So John says,
That's a good question.
John says, I might not be able to be here next week. Man, if you don't check it out in our archives on YouTube and on Facebook. It's going to be a really good show, brother. But he says, I might not be able to be here next week, but I have a Hall of Fame question. Why is Miss Elizabeth being ignored?
I don't know. I mean,
I'll say this. I think they dropped the ball putting her in with Savage
yeah,
the weekend of 31. That was a really good opportunity.
yeah.
I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, because it's like
to be honest,
it can't be.
It's mind-boggling.
It's not like China, where you can understand the controversy to a certain degree, whether it's backstage or it's what you can Google. But
Right.
at the same time, with Miss Elizabeth, it's like, yeah, but the controversy of her death was so long ago. It's not forgotten history, but it was a long time ago.
Crumb,
you know?
I'll ask you this because you'll know this better than I will. We've talked. There's always been stories and like the history, and we won't get into it. But like the relationship was apparently spotty at times with Savage.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is just my theory at the top of my head that maybe because Elizabeth had so much involvement in her career with Savage, and like Maddie said, there's other things going on. Maybe that's why they've kind of tried to move on from it. Because it's I can't think.
I don't
know.
see so because she had no heat, no beef with WWE.
It's true.
And when you talk about the controversy of her death, they put guys like Perfect in.
Yeah.
And guys like Rude who all died from drug things or so.
Yeah.
There's no way they can market to
Steroid
themselves
abuse.
that she's not deserving of it
Yeah,
because
'cause
they've put no disrespect to anybody that's in the hall, but there are way lesser known names or less deserving names
Right.
that are in the hall.
I mean,
Yeah.
Hell, they have a celebrity wing.
I mean, I know the nickname was always, the first lady of but she really kind of was in a lot of ways. So
Yeah, I mean, she was the first,
probably the first female megastar.
as a valet.
Never even in the
Yeah,
ring, right?
Yeah, never wrestled a day in her life.
Well, Daniel Price over on the YouTube says,
What's up, Daniel?
China with DX is complete damage control, which is a joke because their Hall of Fame is a sham. So he's not a fan of the Hall of Fame at all. I don't agree, fully with Daniel, but I do. The Hall of Fame is kind of.
I think in a way they're kind of. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I love the fam because they're actually rolling through the whole criteria that we had. We're going to talk Hall of Fame, so that's great. Go ahead, say what you're going to say, and I'll respond to that.
In an odd way, it's kind of like, in a way, I can hear what he says about damage control because it's kind of a slick way that they could get China in there without her being by herself. She could come in with DX in the overarching story. But again, to me, it's like all the controversy about her and everything. Again, like Elizabeth, it was so long ago. Like, it gets to that point where I can understand more of the Google searching than necessarily the whole shit with Triple H and Steph. Because I'm like, that was what, 2099? 18 years ago? 19 years ago? Seriously?
Well,
Come on,
here's my response with China.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we get too caught up in certain things. Like, to me, here's how I look at the Hall of Fame. Like, I think he's right. It's a sham in a sense of it's not something that a panel of people vote in or, sport wrestling writers or even fans put votes in. It's who Vince and the front office wants to put in. So, in that sense, it is kind of a sham. And I think what it's now evolved into and become is it's almost like story time. And I'm kind of okay with that. Do I think there's certain people that I don't need to sit and listen to having a conversation about their career like a Coco Beware? Like, I don't care. But in the end, what it essentially ends up being is it ends up just being, 3 hours of hearing stories about guys from the road and their experiences with people and experiences in the ring. So I don't get, amazingly caught up. And also at this point, and maybe it's WWE's own fault, but they made it such an event now. Instead of saying, okay, 2 guys go in this year or a female, a tag team, and 2 main eventers go in, there's a requirement. It's so watered down. Let's go through the big names that still have to go in. Dwayne Johnson, right?
True.
How many? Undertaker, Kane.
I mean, obviously the Owen, but that's never happened.
Owen, right. And also the thing I've also, and I can't 100% say this is true, but WWE, and I'm glad you brought up Owen. The reason Owen's not in is because they refused to put him in without the blessing of his wife, who that's a whole other conversation.
That's a whole can of worms.
But I've read and heard rumblings that China's family has not been real keen on having anything to do with the business.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's a similar thing, but by having her go in with DX, it kind of takes, you don't have that much of that kind of focus there.
Yeah.
They can put her in as part of a group to individually do her. They're going to want the blessing of the family as well.
And you know what? That makes a lot of sense because when you think about how China's experience was in the business, towards the end, it was not a pleasant one, and she went on a whole tailspin, which was just controversy on top of controversy on top of controversy before she passed away tragically. So I could see why their parents weren't too keen on that, but at the same time, it's like she could be remembered forever. Not that she isn't.
And the only other thing I'll say about why the Hall of Fame is a sham, they don't have a physical building.
They don't.
They need to. I'm sorry, but it's not a Hall of Fame without a physical building. They need to figure that out.
You know what they could at least do? They could at least add a section to the headquarters that at least they could put right off to the side.
They're actually finally leaving that headquarters
in Connecticut
and going
we should go down to Florida.
Another building.
Huh.
Well, listen, I heard rumors before the fuck is that big chocolate restaurant or whatever it is down there? Used to be NBA City.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
There were heavy rumors then that they were trying to acquire that to make that around WrestleMania 33 to make that a physical Hall of Fame. I don't know if it fell through or it was just rumor and innuendo, but it never happened.
This is what they should do, all right? And I don't know. I've never seen the actual building, but where they have the Performance Center, at least make it a wing, because like I always reference when Shinsuke, they made the video for Shinsuke Nakamura when he came over, and they had like this 5-minute YouTube video, which was great. I still go back and watch it, and like they showed them showing him all the stuff in the lobby and everything. Like that's a perfect thing in my opinion. If I'm a new star or if I'm a tryout, have the Hall of Fame right there.
Well, I think part of the problem with that is it's
There's so
technically
many people.
it's technically a college campus.
Oh, that's right, 'cause it's Full Sail.
So I don't know that you could do that. But listen, there's plenty of land in Florida and Orlando
Yeah.
that Mickey hasn't bought up yet that you could place a building somewhere.
The second thing, there's one really good comment. There's a lot of good comments, but from Jaleel Harris, I think this is really appropriate for what we're
What's
talking
up,
about
Jaleel?
as far as the storyline building, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I've always heard for years that Vince, his main priority is to appease not the hardcore fans like us, but more the casual fans. Somebody that's only going to tune in for Raw and SmackDown and then try and get them to go in and get the network buys, not somebody who's going to watch it religiously. He's somebody, he said, "What's up, boys? I got to be honest, I don't watch Raw and SmackDown, but around big pay-per-views, I like to catch up on the storyline." So he's more casual. He said, "This year, I don't have that draw to get me to watch WrestleMania." So somebody who fits kind of the bubble of fans that Vince at least used to really target can't even say he's gearing up for it. And this is the biggest show of the year.
Because that's the thing. Like, if you're going to try and get the casual fan, at least make an effort out of it.
And
you
this is
know?
the
And
show.
it's
This is the show of shows.
Here's the thing I'll say to him. I had a period of about 3 or 4 years back when I turned 21 and was out drinking every night that I was not watching wrestling religiously, but I always watched WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble. And I could tell you, even if you don't, sometimes not having the background can actually, in a weird way, make it enjoyable, A, and B, their video packages are so great it catches you up on things before the match starts anyway. And I still enjoyed watching WrestleMania, even though I didn't have all the background of it back then. And I actually feel like this is one of those years where, although we're talking about the build-up, which is why the question isn't, is this going to be, or this is going to be the worst WrestleMania in the last 10 years, is the build-up. I feel really good about this card, similar like we talked about with 31. 31 was atrocious building up to it. The card delivered, and it stands the test of time now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like this has that potential, taking out all the background of it to where, all right, we hate it now because we're building to it. The night of it, I think a lot of people are going to walk away very satisfied with the results. And I think 5 years from now, when you're not even thinking about much of the build-up to get to it, it's one of those you can go back and rewatch.
Well, that's
Yeah,
how
yeah.
usually these things work. I mean, how many pay-per-views, not only WrestleMania, have we on the show or just casually talked about it that, oh, this is going to be great. Oh my God, they're going to have this and they're going to have this and they're going to have this, and then the week later we're like,
yeah.
oh, that sucked. That really. Why did we talk about that for 2 hours? Why?
I mean, hell, you can look at it from a historical perspective. I mean, WrestleMania 10, that was a weak build-up. I mean, they didn't have the greatest roster at the time. They did have Brett, but other than that, they had Luger and Undertaker. That's it. But it became one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time just based off of one match, and that's the ladder match.
Which, by the way, what I didn't realize until this week, that's Randy Savage's last televised WWE match.
I know,
God,
with
wow.
Crush
That was
of
pretty
all
terrible.
people. Yeah.
Listen to, I'll give a plug to something to wrestle. We always kind of reference it because it's so damn good. Listen to that one. They just released WrestleMania 10 this week. Dude, it's so good. It's amazing to hear some of the background stuff of that. But no, I mean, I don't think they totally. I think it's a little bit of a misquote. I don't think it's that they cater just to the casual fans. I don't think they cater to the marks who think they know everything. There's hardcore fans that aren't super marks that, you know, I mean, we're kind of marks,
That's fine.
That's what we do. It's
Yeah.
part, it's our job. It's what we do. But there are people that are so over the top hardcore about it. Like I said, I mean, I'm hoping AEW does really well. I think competition is great. But you have the smarks out there who, the moment that it was announced, it's a T-shirt company, but they said WWE's going out of business right away. Like,
I love that.
Yeah,
I love
I
it
think
when
there's
people
a-
say
that's
that
the people
shit.
he doesn't care about.
Yeah, I think there's
those
a.
are the
It's
people
not.
who-
It's not their target audience.
Those are the people who are just so anti WWE, and you know the type that they shit on everything. And like they get some things
And
right.
I
you know?
think that's more not the target audience. Also, when you have the casual fans with kids and stuff,
Yeah.
those are the people that spend money. They do actually focus a lot on the house shows because they sell so much merchandising there.
Yeah.
Ticket sales are lower, but the merchandising that they sell there
'Cause the demographic
is
is mostly
insane.
Well, what's
Right.
the demographic? Usually.
It's families and children.
That's why
People
the
who can't
spots are more family.
People who can't afford a ticket to go to Raw or SmackDown will
Yeah.
go there, but they'll spend the same money because they can walk home with more.
Yeah.
Leave with more.
Exactly.
So it's a little bit of a skewed thing.
The last thing I'll say really quick is that, there's a fine line between, what we do, for example. Obviously we talk about it. We're going to follow it way more than the casual fan, but none of us, none of us will do this. We're not going to go say something, semi-controversial or something we don't like. We're not going to go to Twitter and then go in their mentions on every post. Oh my, like the Baron Corbin thing. Like, we all hate it. We all hate he's going up, or at least projected to go up against Kurt Angle. We hate it. We talked about it for 45 minutes before the show about it. But we're not going to go on Twitter in their mentions, oh, I am deleting the network.
Right.
Oh, I am going over to the UFC and Impact or whatever the hell that's called now, and I'm going to watch that because I hate you. We're not going to do that. Now, if people want to do that, that's fine, because there's those kind of people for anything. For wrestling, there's Eagles. We know the Eagles fans that do stuff like that. You know what I mean? So that's fine. But to your point, there's a different kind of fan in every bubble, whether it's wrestling, whether it's sports, whether it's the freaking Bachelor. It's that trying to recognize what Vince McMahon's main priority is, and I think it's all over the place.
Well, here's the funny part too. You mentioned Impact. How do you think somebody felt when they switched off WWE? Because like, oh, Impact's more real, and then the shit started hitting the fan with Russo and Dixie, and they're like, oh fuck, I'm going back.
Oh, yeah.
How do you think they felt? Oh my god.
Let me in.
My
Let me in.
My last comment I'm going to drop because we got to hop off the air. The last thing I'm going to drop here, you mentioned Baron Corbin. I told you I was going to mention it. I absolutely think Baron Corbin will be an opponent of Kurt Angle, but I do not think he'll be Kurt Angle's last opponent at WrestleMania.
And my prediction, and we'll talk about it more next week,
Yes.
I believe up until the moment of the match, he will be the opponent. But similar to what Nia Jax did at the Royal Rumble, there's going to be a run-in, maybe a cut to the back with a camera of Baron Corbin being laid out, and then you hear.
So you don't think he's going to be in?
Yeah.
I'm going to say that he's in it. He gets jobbed out, loses to Angle within a minute or two, and then John Cena comes out and says, no, you got one more match in you.
He'll be laid out in the back, and then you hear. Dun, dun.
Yeah.
I just try. I can't do this song. I can't. Okay, man.
Fam,
you know what I'm going to say.
Fam, we love you guys. We apologize for the condensed version.
A little
Appreciate you
lazy
guys
booking.
hanging with us, though. We had more than comments than I thought we were going to have
Yeah.
for getting on an hour and 20 minutes late. But we appreciate you guys. Next week, the Roundtable Show.
Oh, yeah.
Ritz is going to be here with us. We're going to try to get a couple more cast of characters with us. You're always going to have us three here. We're looking forward to next week.
Boom.
Give us that read,
Yeah,
brother.
it's coming, man. It's coming.
It's coming. Give us that read.
All right, man. So, Lazy Booking was brought to you by, like always, Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accounts located at 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA. Give them a call, 215-369-3300. Tax season is coming up. So guess what, guys? You better be ready, be prepared, and call Gibson Mayer.
Also, last little plug. I can't believe I even mentioned this. Saturday, 6 o'clock, MLB Roundtable. For all you baseball fans, we're pulling guys from all kinds of shows. We got about eight to 10 guys who are going to be jumping on. Well, that's your fault. You're not on there. Schmuck. The schmuck I'm talking about is going to be on
Don't you
Hockey
look at me
Happy
like
Hour
that.
in a couple minutes.
Yes, he will.
But
I didn't
listen,
forget about you.
it's going to be a great show. Again, appreciate you guys. MLB Roundtable this week. WrestleMania Roundtable starting at 7 p.m., not our normal 7:30 time next week. Looking forward to talking to you guys then. Stick in for Hockey Happy Hour with that schmuck, this beautiful face, and Mikey Klinkoff. Until then, thanks, Brodo. Thanks, Matty. I almost called him Matt Ryan again. I almost switched it.
Thank you,
that time.
Chrome.
You guys have a good week.